Welcome back to Friday Night Fights from Miami, Oklahoma. One of the toughest times in a boxer's career is when he has to move forward after a tough loss. Such is the case with both of our main event fighters. Terry Smith takes on Kelvin Davise, and Terry Smith had heavyweight contender plans lined up. Now he's desperate for an attention-grabbing win. Skillful 35-year-old Terry Smith has knocked on the door of the heavyweight contenders before. He just hasn't been able to walk on in. He had won 8 straight fights when he squared off against 2-time world title challenger Jameel McCline last summer. It was a well-fought fight. For once, we saw 2 heavyweights who were willing to work, but the much bigger McCline was willing to put forth even more. Terry didn't finish as strong and dropped a unanimous decision. He has bounced back with a win since, but learned a lot from that loss.
I underestimated Jameel a little bit because in some of his other fights, he'd send a tire after 4 rounds, and then I knew by me being in good shape that I could have probably picked it up and maybe stole the later round. From that fight, I took away not to underestimate anybody on their past performances, that each fight is different, and to prepare to the fullest for each and every fight.
Kelvin Davise is back where he feels he belongs, as a heavyweight. The short but powerful former cruiserweight champ said goodbye to the 200-pound weight limit on Friday Night Fights in February. He was off to a good start against the top 10-ranked Darnell Wilson. In fact, Kelvin scored a knockdown in the 2nd round. But in the 3rd round, the Dingling Man rang him up. One good shot got it started, the sweeping left hand there. Then he went headhunting. Davise found himself stumbling around the ring. He finally would go down to the canvas. But when he rose up and walked off to the side, the ref didn't like the looks of it and called the fight. Now Kelvin gets a quick turnaround and a chance to redeem himself on our air.
I put all the blame on myself. I was winning the fight with ease, and I got off my game plan and I got caught with a shot. And I had to live with that for 30, 35 days. And I have a chance, God gave me a chance to do it all over again, another opportunity.
Now can Davise, the former champ, hang with the bigger fighters? And can Smith, the fringe contending heavyweight, finally break on through?
At this point in stage, I'm training to the utmost, trying to be in the best shape each and every time that I'm out and to perform the best so that I can get that call and get that shot and maybe a title shot to let everybody and to prove to each and everybody that I am truly a champion being overlooked.
I don't have a hometown. I'm a world champion without a hometown. I won a world title in somebody else's backyard. I never had a hometown. I never had anybody that stood behind me and my team. It does not really matter because my fighting style pleases everybody. So everybody becomes mine. Every city, every state, every country becomes my hometown. I'm a world champion. I'm not just one town champion, I'm a world champion.
What a beautiful gesture and tribute by Terry Smith. He special ordered these. They just came in today. The replica Diego Corrales camouflage trunks, just the way Chico used to wear them. Terry Smith honoring a fallen warrior. Very nice gesture. Terry Smith, 6'2", 225, 6 inches and 20 pounds on Davise, his opponent tonight. Only 2 losses among the 32 career fights, and they came from name opponents. We showed you the Jameel McCline fight. He also lost a 10-round decision to Calvin Brock. And for so many years, Kelvin Davise was compared to Mike Tyson. For the record, the 28-year-old from Reno had the facial tattoo first. 24 wins, 5 losses, 2 draws, 16 KOs. And the weight difference, from cruiserweight to heavyweight, well, in his career, it's not as big a deal as you think. In fact, he has a better record when he's over 200 pounds compared to under 200 pounds. Teddy Atlas gets us set with the fight plan.
When you get Kelvin Davise, you know what you're getting. You're getting this. Mike Tyson look-alike. Now, one of the most important things for a fighter to do is move his head after his last punch. You finish punching, you should move. Kelvin Davise does that. That's what we're going to concentrate on. What we're going to concentrate on with Saul playing Kelvin Davise what he does after he moves. Instead of staying in, watch. He throws his punches, he moves, and then he comes right back out in front. That's where Terry Smith, me, the taller man, bang, bang, can nail him all night long. Terry Smith is taller and he's longer, and he should take advantage of those assets tonight by boxing like this on the outside, using that jab and keeping the shorter Davise at bay. But Terry Smith has a flaw, so I was going to demonstrate that. When Kelvin Davise throws that jab, you're going to see Smith is going to chase it. And when he chases it with the right hand, look for Kelvin Davise, bang, jab and hook. Look for Davise to do that. Look for him to cash in with a win.
Gary Ritter is your referee. It is scheduled for 10.
Okay, gentlemen, you received your instructions earlier. I want a good, clean fight. Protect yourself at all times. Obey my commands. Both trunks are good. Touch your gloves up. Let's have a good one.
The ring experience is brought to you by Just for Men Hair Color. Davise has a 2-year longer career, but Smith has one more pro fight, comparable total rounds. Of course, Kelvin Davise has the experience of being a world titleist. He was the IBF cruiserweight champ and was stripped for not defending that belt, got caught up in some boxing politics. Remember, Kelvin Davise said, don't blink. It's going to be action nonstop. He is in the white trunks and Terry Smith in the Corrales replica camouflage trunks.
Both these fighters have been involved in fights where heads clash together. And Smith has been cut over both his eyes in the past. Matter of fact, right there, Davise got hurt. Now,
good right hand by Terry Smith, and he's headhunted.
The reason Davise got hurt is he lays his head on the right. And he's going to keep getting hit with right hands as long as he lays his head on the right side. That right hand, for the 4th time already, has cashed in behind the ear.
Terry Smith all over him. And obviously, Kelvin Davise is looking to settle in here. He was hurt on the first punch that Smith landed.
Well, look at the habit.
Another right hand comes raining in.
Just look at the habit. He keeps laying his head on the right side. When you lay your head on the right side like that, you're in the lane of the right hand.
Uppercut.
You need to move your head to the left side, outside the right hand, outside that shoulder.
Left hook lands from Smith. Still 1:45 to go. Davise hasn't gone down yet.
You know, it's not the fact that he's landing the right hand that Davise has to be on top of it. Why he's landing it. We know he's landing rights. He continues to lay his head on the right side in the path of that punch. Again, you lay on the right side, expect right hands again.
Kelvin Davise said don't blink yet, to his own detriment. He's trying to survive this first round.
Well, when you're laying your head on one side or the other, what it also means is there's distance. Again, we talked about it in the fight plan. Davise, he'll move his head, but then he'll come right back out in front, like right there. He'll move his head, but then he won't stay inside where he's close and he can do something and be safe. He moves his head and then pulls out right in front. And when you do it with a guy like Smith, who's got those longer arms, you're gonna pay a price.
Uppercut by Smith on the inside. Another uppercut comes in, not at full force. You can still see the wobbly legs of Kelvin Davise.
Now Smith not helping himself with those left hooks. The right hands have been big paydays for Smith so far in this round, but the hooks he's not turning over. Again, a slap with the left hook, and Davise is able to absorb that.
And now Davise is throwing a little offense into the mix.
Smith needs to turn that hook over. You slap with it, you cuff with it, no power. You turn it over square, power.
Kelvin Davise survives the first round. What a showcase opening minute for Terry Smith. Let's listen in.
Come on, man. What you standing there for, huh? What's the problem? Give me you weather serious.
Finish with the left hook. When you rock him a little bit, you went to the body nice, Terry. That was beautiful. You hurt him. You hurt him a bunch of times that round when you put your punches together and your combinations. Nice and relaxed. Set it up with your jab. Finish with your hook.
Gonna take a look right here of the action from the last round. Again, Davise landing on the right side. He leans on the right side. You're gonna see more of it the second shot. And the right hand has a home. Now here's the second time he's hurt. Again, laying out with distance, not inside, taking the reach away, and keeping his head on the right, Joe. And he eats right hands for the whole round.
Right up behind us and work.
Well, if you want to know what a 10-8 round looks like when a fighter didn't go down, you just saw one. Round number 2. Keep an eye on those legs of Kelvin Davise. Remember, TKO'd in the 3rd round in his last outing.
Again,
tries the right hand again.
Joe, when you're the shorter man, you have to be all the way out of the reach of the longer man, in this case Smith, or all the way in, not in no man's land. And right now, Smith picking up where he left off the last round in no man's land. Or Davise, I should say, standing right out in front.
Right at the end of those punches.
Where he should not. Now you can get out a little further if you're Davise. That's okay. But once you start to close that gap, you have to commit and not stay, as you said, at the end of the punches, or as I say, in no man's land. You gotta commit to closing that gap, like right there.
Closed it with a right hand moments ago, did Kelvin Davise. Remember, he possesses big power. He was a power puncher as a cruiserweight, and he feels very confident here at heavyweight to be able to throw out some weaponry.
Now the key to watch is, when Davise gets into that pocket, does he stay there and does he do that? Move his hands, and yes, he's doing that in the pocket where he belongs right now.
And he buzzed Terry Smith, and now you see Terry Smith staggering off to the right side.
You asked me in the opening, in between rounds, how should Smith use his size? Inside or outside? And I was saying he should use it. He's 20 pounds heavier than Davise, but he should use it on the outside. The size of length, the size of height, not the size of bulk on the inside. And you can see inside is where Davise finds haven.
Body shots by Kelvin Davise, 2 of them landed in that 3-punch sequence. There's a right hand after the uppercut that scores well for Kelvin Davise, and Terry Smith is trying to fight his way out of that position on the ropes.
Again, Smith 20 pounds heavier, but he should not be inside with the shorter Davise, who's only effective when he's in close.
Uppercut by Davise.
No room right now, and when there's no room, it's been good for Davise. When there's room, it's been good for Smith.
The crowd trying to rally support for Terry Smith, but Davise has had a comeback round, and they swing away. Oh, is this stuff good when heavyweights decide to throw, isn't it? Good fight.
There's no reason to stand inside, let him in.
We talked about Davise doing well when he's inside. Well, that whole round, for the most part, he was inside, and yes, he was doing well. Inside the long arms of Smith, and able to do what a short arm man can do. Uppercuts, hooks, a little bobbing or weaving, and a redeeming round for Davise.
Kelvin Davise marches out to round number 3 in our heavyweight main event. He was hurt badly in the first round, a 10-8 round for Smith, and then came back well with a 33-27 advantage in connects in that second round. Here are the punch track numbers. You can see Smith landing 54 shots. He opened up this fight with a huge right hand in the first round. In that second round, Smith was game. Even though Davise had control, he threw over 100 punches. Good fight so far.
The key, again, for Smith, I think, is to use his size. There's two ways to use his size when you're bigger. Inside with bulk or outside with height. Smith has been served much better outside when he uses that height and the long arms. He can catch Davise coming in, and he can catch Davise after he gets in and goes back out.
It's exactly what his trainer Mark Vaz was telling him after that second round, a round that Davise performed well in, when he said to Terry Smith, double jab from the outside and try to drop that right hand out at range.
If you wonder why Smith doesn't always keep that range, even though you can see it benefits him, watch his feet when he punches. He will fall in, as you can see right there.
The right foot came and shifted forward after throwing the right hand.
Exactly, Joe. And when he does that, he does not keep his advantage of height. He does not stay placed on the outside.
Right hand comes sweeping and over the top from Kelvin Davise, and then he backs it up with a left hand. They trade on the inside. Davise is so comfortable there.
The opportunities again for Smith is to catch Davise coming in. To do that, he should not be there. He should be outside where he can pinpoint shots on the shorter Davise coming forward, taking chances.
But there he is in the danger zone.
Again,
gets off a combination. Back out to range now. Let's see if he utilizes the jab.
If you're a fan of Smith, you want to see him at this distance, moving his hands. If you're a fan of Davise, you want to see him all the way in. But you want to watch now. Watch when he gets in. Does he stay there or does he fall back out? When he falls back out, that's when you can look for Smith to catch him like he did there on the rebound.
Good combination from Davise. Smith, Davise, and the three. Alongside Teddy Atlas, I'm Joe Tessitore. Hope you are enjoying this heavyweight main event. It has been good so far through 3 rounds. Terry Smith in the camouflage tribute to Corrales trunks and Kelvin Davise in the white trunks. Smith had Davise hurt badly in the first round, but Davise has come back. Teddy, after the 3rd round, Terry Smith went back to his corner and he said to his trainer, Mark Vaz, "I'm falling in too much."
Well, that's exactly what I was talking about, obviously, the last round. Not keeping his feet set on the outside. And when you don't keep your feet set on the outside, you cannot take advantage of being the taller man. Something I think Smith needs to take advantage of.
Meanwhile, for Davise, the former cruiserweight champion, he goes back to the corner and hears from his brother Kelly, go right to the inside and kill this guy to the body.
Now, we've seen good right hands landed early by Smith, and they were effective, Joe. But we've also seen some left hooks landed by Smith, but they have not been effective. For our great fans at home, Just watch when Smith does throw the left hook, he doesn't turn it over. And he doesn't hit with the square part of the glove. He cuffs, he slaps. And that, again, a slap.
There it was, the
with
left
the left
hand.
hook, not turning it over. And when you don't turn it over, you cannot get full power in that punch. And you
Lunging
lose an
right
opportunity.
hand. Combination on the inside, the left hook landed by Davis. And now Smith willing to meet him fire for fire on the inside. Davis gaining confidence, you can see it in his body language.
Right now, the difference is Davis is doing more damage in his area inside. He's throwing more meaningful punches.
Watch those bobos.
If I want to grab a coin phrase from Tyson, as of course Davis tries to imitate, Davis throws with more bad intentions when he gets in close. When Smith gets opportunities in his area on the outside, his punches not as telling.
Right hand to the body, turns into a right uppercut from Davis.
Davis just doing more with his opportunities in his areas like that.
Caught him on the inside with a left hook. Wow, this fight is really turned around.
Again, you're seeing plenty of punches on the outside from Smith, but not the sit-down telling punches you'd seen in close from Davis. All the damage since the first round being done by the shorter man.
That right hand has been finding a home on the left flank of Terry Smith. Looks like another solid round for Kelvin Davise.
Way too much, and this fight is far closer.
We talked about the last round, how Smith's not turning the hook over. Watch right there. You could see a cuffing punch not turned over, and that is why Smith not being effective when he throws the left hook.
Heavyweight main event on Friday Night Fights. Terry Smith, 35 years old, 29 wins, only 2 losses. The 2 losses have come against upper-level heavyweights, McCline and Brock. Now Kelvin Davise, a cruiserweight champion, is trying to join that list. Trainer Mark Vass told Terry Smith, how in the world are you getting lower against a guy that's 5'8"? Get outside! The average punches landed. You saw the work in the first round compared to what he has done since. Terry Smith needs to get to the outside and utilize that jab. It's been all Davise since being hurt in the first round.
Well, I see one real specific change early this round from Smith. He's sitting down on his punches. He's making a deliberate, conscious effort to make sure that his punches are harder.
Well, we know he can hurt him.
This round, he is sitting down to make sure that they are quality punches. Even with that miss there, you could see the intention from Smith that you didn't see the last couple rounds. The last couple rounds, to be honest, from Smith, you were seeing keep him off me punches, keep him away punches, not meaningful, looking to do damage punches that Davise was throwing when he got close. Those are meaningful punches right now that you're seeing from the bigger, taller Smith.
Hit him in the back.
An adjustment has been made.
Like that right hand.
Yeah, a real adjustment has been made in the mindset, in the disposition of Smith.
Saw a solid jab from a 5'8" former cruiserweight a moment ago. There's a 1-2 sweeping left hook on the back end of it from Smith. Goes with the uppercut to lead off that combination that time. He's having a better round.
He's acting like the bigger man. Bigger man as far as size, strength, and bigger man as far as length. Although now he ventures into those close quarters that have been good for the shorter Davis.
If he's going to go there, he's got to throw and get out. Lands a right hand after the jab. Davis back to the inside, but he gets caught with a left hook. They both swing away with right hands now on the inside.
Now, you just said a moment ago, Joe, that Davis got caught with a left hook. You're right. Watch why. He gets in, and then he falls out, giving the distance that Smith needs to land with the left hook or the right hand.
Smith just working now. Uppercut by Davis, misses.
Now watch Davis. He gets in close,
Left
and
hand.
it's effective. Now watch when he goes out. He needs to stay in there and continue bending, not go back out in front.
A much better looking 5th round from Terry Smith.
Next Wednesday, Glenn Johnson, the 2004 Fighter of the Year, takes on veteran contender Montel Griffin in an elimination bout. Friday, May 18th, the ring's #6 lightweight contender Zahir Rahim returns to the ring against rugged Cristobal Cruz. Plus, live in the studio, the Ring Magazine's super middleweight champion of the world, undefeated Joe Calzaghe. ESPN, your boxing authority.
Here you're going to see the good and bad of Davis. He goes in, but then he goes back out and he gets hit with the left hook. Watch. He goes in, that's good. But then he goes back out, that's bad.
Live action now, round 6, scheduled for 10. Terry Smith for 110 punches in that 6th round. Got caught a right hand right there. Smith had won 8 straight fights before the loss to Jameel McCline. He was supposed to fight Chris Bird on our show in the Bahamas on Wednesday Night Fights. He was greatly disappointed that another opponent got that call from the Bird camp. So now he feels like it's time to really hit the gas pedal and grab a strong win against the former champ. Both men desperate for a signature win at this stage of their career, and both men fighting like it. Teddy Atlas's scorecard, 10-8 round in the 1st round, 47-47 evened up because of the 5th round that went to Terry Smith. Keep in mind, it's almost amazing that Davis survived the 1st round, let alone control the middle portions of the early going of this fight.
You know, watch right here, again, Davis in and then he falls out. He does not stay in well. And when he drifts out into leather.
Watch your kidney punches.
Now Davis in the place he wants to be. Now it's up to him to do what he needs to do and move those hands.
You have to work with that real estate if you're Kelvin Davis.
Again, I think Smith, using his size,
Stopped smothering himself, got to the outside, and placed a right hand.
he's got the choice, Smith, of using his size inside or outside. He's the bigger man. But so far, he's been served better using his size outside, although he's doing a pretty good job of making an argument out of that right now.
5 unanswered punches. He's just working more at this point in the final minute of this 6th round. Terry Smith in this 6th round is seemingly telling Kelvin Davis, I want it more than you want it.
And you know, Joe, we look at the 20-pound advantage of Smith in the department of maybe doing damage. But where it's serving him is inside. Even when he doesn't do damage, his size is allowing him to absorb well from the smaller Davis. He's allowing him to handle those punches better than he would be if he wasn't bigger.
Back and forth they go, and now Smith has it a bit.
Don't lay on the ropes with this guy, man. Get your combinations off, all right?
Welcome back to our heavyweight main event, round number 7. It has been a thriller so far. Terry Smith, Kelvin Davise from Miami, Oklahoma.
Watch the right hand of Smith on the outside. Yes, we did say that he belongs. Here's a very interesting scenario, or something at least to contemplate. We say that Smith belongs on the outside, but sometimes he will take that right hand and move it to block the jab, as you saw right there, over to his left side. When he does that, that could be an opportunity for the left hook off the jab of Davise.
Let's bring in Terry Smith's trainer, Mark Vaz. And Mark, he asked you after that last round, am I winning or losing? What would you tell us?
It's a little bit too close for comfort, to be honest with you. I think Terry's throwing more punches, but he's backing himself onto the ropes. Even when he's got Davise on, he's trying to be a little too slick, spin him around, and he's spinning himself on, which is just giving Davise another opportunity.
Mark, I was saying early on that it was better served for your man, even though he's the bigger man, 20 pounds heavier, it serves him to use that size better on the outside with the reach, where Davise is kept at bay, where he can catch him shots. I tell you that your guy had a good round the last round inside, and he made a liar out of me. But would you rather him be on the outside?
Terry, what I've been telling him, Teddy, is when he's inside, get his combinations off like he's doing now, and then step right back outside immediately, snap the jab, snap the right hand from his distance, and step around. When he's inside, get it done, and then get back outside right away. That's what I'd like to see him do.
Mark, there's blood coming from the nose now, a little more steady than we saw at the end of the 6th round. Broken or just bloody? What's going on there?
It's a little swollen right up at the bridge as well, but it's nothing serious. It's not impeding his breathing at all.
Okay, thanks a lot, Mark. Get back to work.
Thanks, guys.
I think that Mark Vaz has done a really good job. We've been eavesdropping on him, and he's done really a good job tonight in laying out the battle plan and making adjustments in that battle plan for his fighter Smith. For the most part, getting on him that he wanted him on the outside, where he could take advantage of his reach, his height, and take advantage of the shorter man coming forward. But then telling him in spots, okay, if you're gonna fight inside, make sure you work and don't lay there. We haven't listened in on the corner of Davise with his brother Kelly, but I would be sure that he wants him there, inside the pocket, not there on the outside.
Great exchange.
Not a bad round, Terry. What's working for you, my friend, is when you're in close, fast hands.
Let's take a look at this fight from the very beginning. Terry Smith started off on fire. He had Kelvin Davise hurt for the entire first round. Then Davise mounts a comeback, Teddy.
He made an adjustment. He didn't lay his head on the right side where he was eating in right hands. He got inside where he made Smith eat some hooks. But then later on, Smith turned it around on him. He started working a little bit more on the inside, and on the outside, he was able to catch the shorter man coming forward.
Here comes the shorter man, Kelvin Davise, 5'8", a former cruiserweight champion, now fighting at heavyweight here in what could be the last good run of his career. But to have that run, he needs to beat a fringe contender like Terry Smith. Terry Smith in the camouflage trunks to honor the fallen warrior Diego Corrales. He's making a Corrales fight out of it. Teddy Atlas's scorecard. You see the average punches thrown per round. Big number for Smith, 67-65. Keep in mind, a 10-8 round for Smith to open up this fight.
Again, we've been saying inside is the place that Davise needs to be all the way in, where he can work those short arms. And of course, Smith has the great advantage and the great choice, Joe, of being able to work inside with that bulk. He's 20 pounds heavy, as we've been saying all night. If he works quick enough and doesn't linger there, and then go outside and use the great advantage of the other part of size, length.
Now Davise back on the inside where he does his best work, but Smith pushes him back.
You know, the question tonight, as we watch right now as Davise is inside, it's not whether or not he can get in close. It's whether he stays in there and works, or if he falls back out and allows Smith a little leverage to nail him like he did right there. A little bit of space is what Davise does not want. As soon as there's a little space, like right now, well, that's what you're gonna see.
Smith scoring with ease.
That's what you want to see right there. You want to see Davise as though he's attached to Smith. Not that, not moving back outside, which unfortunately for Davise is his habit.
Terry Smith, look at this number. Big time headshot scoring from Smith.
You know, a lot of times you'll hear me say on this air, what is this sense of being a taller man if you don't use that height? But right now I'm gonna say, what's the sense of being a shorter man if you're Davise, and when you get in close, you don't stay there and work?
Davise off balance. You know, he has absorbed a lot in this 8th round, and it seems that he's slowing significantly. A good, solid round from Terry Smith. We have 2 to go.
All right, Terry, your best round since the first. He's tiring, Terry. Look at him over there. He's sucking wind. You're getting to him now. Now I need you to start letting your hands go. Back him up.
Terry Smith
Don't push
with
him back.
Mark Vaz.
Back him up with the jab. Now start using your physicality and your strength on this guy now. This is your round. You're going to start getting this guy hurt, and you're going to get him out. All right?
Kelvin Davise, the 28-year-old Reno native, coming off the TKO loss to Darnell Wilson. Almost exited early tonight, but then had a great rally and swept rounds 2, 3, and 4 on our scorecards. Now he needs to get things back together in these last 2 rounds as Smith has come on. More combination punching from Terry Smith.
But right now, forget about height, forget about bulk. It's amounts of punches from Smith, as you just said, punches and bunches versus one at a time from Davise. You should never throw one at a time, particularly when you're behind. And we have Davise behind.
There's a combination that finishes with a left hook that puts Smith back for a moment. Now going to the body on the inside is Kelvin Davise. Smith still working. Davise still loading up.
Again, no sense in being the shorter man if you're not inside moving those hands. Davise doing a little better job of behaving like a shorter man should.
Uppercut by Kelvin Davise.
Right now, Davise doing some thinking, not just some punching, some strategizing right now. What he's doing, I think, is he's throwing a couple easy punches, trying to load Smith into a false sense of security. Watch, he's touching him with some easy ones, and then he's trying to load up on a real big, hard one on the end. Davis trying to set up Smith.
Left hook comes in from Davis. A lot of blood coming from the nose of Terry Smith. He's spray painting much of the front row here. Still working, not much on those punches. It's been volume punching versus power punching in this 9th round. And Davis seems to be getting the better of it, but Smith's still working. Uppercut comes in from Smith. Davis needs to not let it go away here in these last 30 seconds. He worked hard in the opening 2 minutes.
A lot of surface to punch at when you're Smith throwing at Davis. Look at Davis's legs. He squares up. And when you square up like that, there is a lot of surface to strike. And right now, Smith is striking it. When you square with your feet here, you square up here, and you're gonna get hit in there. Just watch this replay. A lot of square surface from Davis with his feet. That means there's a lot of target.
10th and final round. It has been a very, very good heavyweight main event. Kelvin Davis heard his brother Kelly in the corner say, "You have to knock this guy out." Can Kelvin Davis do it? He has the power, he has the mindset, but he has a 35-year-old heavyweight veteran standing opposite him. Teddy Atlas says, yes, a knockout's necessary, 86-84.
Or not a knockdown, but
a 10-8 round would be necessary.
Round would be much appreciated from the Davis people.
10-8 would get him a draw on your scorecard.
Shoulder.
That's what Terry Smith has done a lot of in these last 4 rounds.
You know, just watch Davis as he gets to that place where you have to make a decision. As he's starting to get in, when he gets to that area where he either closes all the way in or he stays in no man's land, he waits too long. He's kind of, you can just see it. Watch when he comes in here. Right there. He should close that gap a lot quicker. He hangs out in that area. Again, you can see it. Joe, he reminds me of somebody waiting on the corner of a traffic light. When that light turns, you must cross that corner before the cars start coming. Davis does not cross that corner. He stands there waiting too long.
And allows Smith to fire off. Now he comes in with a body shot, and Smith returns fire with a left hook. Final 30 seconds coming up.
Watch again, Davis right there needs to close that gap, and he stays there. Now he closes the gap, but he gave a lot of opportunities while he was standing out in that area where Smith was able to tattoo him.
It's been solid throughout. Last 10 seconds. Let him bring it home. Fans on their feet in Oklahoma. Good job by both men. Terry Smith, Kelvin Davise. 10 solid rounds. Heavyweight action on Friday Night Fights. We will come back and hear from the judges. Stay with us. More to come.
Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Calzaghe, 168 pounds, 12 stone exactly.
ESPN Friday Night Fights, presented by the new Just for Men hair color. Knocks out the gray better than ever. And in part by Aleve, the official pain reliever of the PGA Tour. About 5 miles away from where we are in Commerce, Oklahoma. That's Mickey Mantle's childhood home. And there is the Mick, old number 7. We almost had a home run hit in the first round of this fight when Terry Smith clipped Kelvin Davise with a big right hand. We ended up going the distance, and we're better for it. It was a great fight. Terry Smith headshots, 349, 958 registered on the punch track, brought to us by Just for Men hair color. Teddy Atlas's scorecard. It started 10-8, then it went Davis's way, then Smith came back 96-93. What does M. Mark Biero have to say?
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a unanimous decision. Judge Jerry Griffin scores the bout 97-93. Judges David Sutherland and Barbara Bonnet both see it 98-92. All to the winner by unanimous decision, Terry Smith.
Terry Smith gets career win number 30. And for Kelvin Davise, it is now 2 straight losses. Good effort by both men, but Terry Smith gets the unanimous decision win. Teddy, what'd you make of it?
Well, first of all, I don't have a lot of faith in these judges. I didn't see it that far, and they had the first fight the wrong way. But a real good fight, and both of them dug down deep, and a nice tribute to Corrales.
Indeed it was. Terry Smith gets the win, and Brian Kenny, that was a good one, wasn't it?
No, outstanding, Joe, no question. By the way, we're sorry running out of time on this program. Teddy and I will talk Mayweather De La Hoya, and you can catch it on ESPN.com. We'll have that on the boxing page. Here's some other things that you should know about boxing news just for a few seconds before we step away. Dan Rayfield has this in his notebook and on ESPN.com. Antonio Tarver, former light heavyweight champion of the world, back in the ring June 9th in Hartford against Elvir Mariki. Paulie Malignaggi will take on Lovemore Ndu next June 16th. And Evander Holyfield, Lou Savarese, 44 years old versus 41 years old. Those two will fight each other June 30th in Texas. And we've got an outstanding card coming your way all next week. Glenn Johnson, former light heavyweight champion of the world and 2004 Fighter of the Year by Ring Magazine. He takes on Montel Griffin. And then on Wednesday Night Fights, next Wednesday, Zahir Rahim on Friday Night Fights versus Cristobal Cruz. Again, heavyweights toe-to-toe. And then next week, Glencoff Johnson versus Montel Griffin, Zahir Rahim versus Cristobal Cruz. And by the way, next week on Friday Night Fights, the undefeated super middleweight champion of the world, Joe Calzaghe, will join us. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For Joe Tessitore and Teddy Atlas, I'm Brian Kenny. See you Wednesday on Wednesday Night Fights.